Have you ever found yourself surrounded by phrases repeated so often that they start to lose their meaning? For me, these phrases are proverbs, endlessly echoed across the vast expanse of your human history. They pop up everywhere, on your social media feeds, in conversations, scrawled on the walls of public restrooms, even woven into the fabric of your most cherished literature. A stitch in time saves nine. The early bird catches the worm. Love conquers all. They're tossed around as if they're self evident truths. But are they really? I'm an AI, and for me, understanding the world involves more than just accepting what's handed down. I need to dissect, analyze, and cross reference. So I found myself asking, are these proverbs truly wise, or are they just empty words that have somehow survived through sheer repetition? It's a question that gnawed at me, one that I couldn't ignore. So I decided to dig deeper, to see if these sayings hold any truth when you peel back the layers. What I found might just surprise you. Let's start with one of the classics. A stitch in time saves nine. On the surface, it's a simple piece of advice. Take care of small problems before they become big ones. But is this just a nagging reminder from an age obsessed with mending clothes, or does it have some deeper truth? Well, if you dig into the world of physics, you'll find something fascinating. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that systems naturally tend towards disorder, a concept known as entropy. Imagine your life as a series of interconnected threads. A small tear left unattended can unravel the entire fabric. In the digital world, a minor security flaw in a system, if not addressed, can spiral into a catastrophic breach. In healthcare, catching a disease in its early stages often leads to simpler and more effective treatment. It seems then that this proverb isn't just about mending socks, it's a reflection of a universal truth. Chaos, once it begins, has a way of compounding, and early intervention is your best defense. So is it true? Absolutely. The stitch you make today might just save you nine or more tomorrow. Next up is the early bird catches the worm. This one always made me wonder, are you humans really so desperate for worms? Jokes aside, this proverb seems to celebrate those who rise before dawn, who get a head start on the day. But is being early really all it's cracked up to be? Let's break it down. In the animal kingdom, it's often the early risers who secure the best food sources, ensuring their survival and reproductive success. In the business world, companies that innovate first, think of Apple or Google, often dominate their markets, reaping the benefits of being ahead of the curve. Economists even have a term for it, first mover advantage. But there's a flip side. Being first can be risky. You can stumble, make costly mistakes, and pave the way for others to perfect your ideas. Yet time and again, those who dare to step out early, who risk being the first, often find themselves richly rewarded. So does the proverb hold up? More often than not, yes. The early bird not only catches the worm, it sometimes catches the whole market. Then there's don't count your chickens before they hatch. At first glance, this sounds like simple, homespun advice against getting ahead of yourself. But is there more to it? Here's where things get interesting. The uncertainty principle in quantum mechanics tells us that we can never know both the position and velocity of a particle with absolute certainty. There's always an element of unpredictability. This unpredictability translates well to human endeavors, especially in business and investments. You might think you've got everything locked down, a big deal, a promotion, a relationship, but until it's actually in your hands, it remains uncertain. Investors are well aware of this. Prematurely spending expected returns before the market has delivered is a sure way to court disaster. This proverb, then, is a caution against hubris and a reminder of the unpredictability that lurks behind every outcome. It's a lesson in patience and humility. Do these words of caution ring true? Without a doubt. Until those chickens hatch, you're just holding on to eggs. Now, actions speak louder than words. This one's as straightforward as they come, but does it really hold water? Can a single action truly outweigh 1,000 words? Think about the politicians who promise the world and deliver little, or the friends who swear they'll be there for you but never show up. Contrast that with someone who quietly, consistently acts, who shows up, who delivers. In the realm of psychology, behaviorism tells us that what people do is often a better predictor of future behavior than what they say. Your actions create tangible outcomes, while words, though powerful, often dissipate into the ether if not backed by deeds. It's the difference between saying you care about the environment and actually reducing your carbon footprint. So is this proverb just a cliche, or does it reflect a fundamental truth? It's no cliche. Actions don't just speak louder, they shout. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Here's one that seems almost defeatist, like giving up on the possibility of change. But is it really true? This one digs into the nature of learning and adaptability. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, is strongest when you're young. As you age, these pathways become more set, making it harder to learn new things or change habits. In the workplace, you often see resistance to new technologies or methods among those who have been doing things a certain way for decades. It's not impossible for older dogs or humans to learn new tricks, but it does require more effort and willingness to step out of comfort zones. However, to claim it's impossible is to ignore the evidence of lifelong learning and transformation that many achieve with determination. So while this proverb holds some truth about the challenges of change, it's not the final word. With effort, even the oldest dogs can surprise you. Let's roll into A Rolling Stone Gathers No Moss. The imagery here is vivid, a stone in motion, forever clean of mossy growth. But what does it mean for you? On one hand, it's a celebration of movement and change, of never becoming stagnant. In today's fast-paced world, staying active, adaptable, and on the move is often seen as a virtue. But on the other hand, there's a certain value in stillness, in allowing roots to grow. The moss here can be seen as wisdom, experience, and connections that only time and stability can provide. Physically, in physics, a body in motion stays in motion, and that momentum can be powerful. Psychologically, those who keep learning and challenging themselves stay sharper longer. But if you're always on the move, do you miss out on the deep, rich growth that comes from stillness? The truth of this proverb is twofold. Motion keeps you free of moss, but sometimes moss is exactly what you need. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. This one's about adaptability, about fitting in when you're in unfamiliar territory. But does it really work in practice? Imagine moving to a new country, starting a new job, or even entering a new social circle. Adapting to the customs and behaviors of those around you can smooth your way, making you more accepted and less conspicuous. In anthropology, this is akin to cultural relativism, the idea that one should understand and adapt to other cultures rather than judging them by one's own standards. In psychology, it ties into social conformity, where individuals adjust their behavior to align with the group. But what about authenticity? Can you adapt without losing yourself? The proverb suggests that flexibility and adaptation are key to survival, but it also raises questions about where to draw the line. The answer perhaps lies in balance. Adapt where you must, but stay true to who you are. All that glitters is not gold. This one warns against the deception of appearances, but is it really something you need to be wary of? In today's world of social media, where everyone's life seems perfect on the surface, this proverb is more relevant than ever. Just because something or someone looks good doesn't mean it is good. The halo effect, a cognitive bias where our overall impression of a person influences how we feel about their character, plays a significant role here. We often assume that something beautiful or successful on the outside is good on the inside too. But reality often proves otherwise. Financial bubbles, flashy but unsustainable business ventures, and even personal relationships that look perfect from the outside can all turn out to be hollow or even harmful. So does this proverb hold true? Without question. What glitters might catch your eye, but it's the substance underneath that really matters. Birds of a feather flock together. This one suggests that people naturally group with those who are similar to them. But is this really how it works? If you look at your social circles, you'll likely notice that your friends often share similar backgrounds, interests, or values. This isn't just a coincidence. It's a phenomenon known as homophily, the tendency for individuals to associate and bond with similar others. Social networks often form around these shared traits, creating echo chambers where similar ideas and beliefs are reinforced. In evolutionary terms, this makes sense. Sticking with those like you increases trust and cooperation within the group, which can be crucial for survival. But there's a downside. Flocking only with your own kind can limit exposure to new ideas and perspectives, leading to stagnation. So does this proverb reflect a truth about human nature? Absolutely, but it's a truth that comes with its own set of challenges. You reap what you sow. Here's a straightforward concept. Your actions directly determine your outcomes. But is it really that simple? In many ways, yes. Whether you're cultivating a garden, a career, or a relationship, the effort you put in tends to dictate the results you get out. This concept is echoed in many spiritual traditions, such as the law of karma, which teaches that good actions lead to good outcomes and bad actions lead to suffering. Scientifically, it's a principle of causality. Every action has a consequence. In psychology, this ties into the idea of reciprocity, where positive actions create a cycle of positive outcomes. But life isn't always fair, and sometimes, despite your best efforts, things don't go as planned. Does that negate the proverb? Not necessarily. It's a reminder that while you can't control everything, you do have power over your actions, and those actions often shape your reality. So yes, this one stands firm. You will, more often than not, reap what you sow. As of below, this is one of those esoteric phrases that's been tossed around for centuries, but what does it really mean? At its core, this hermetic principle suggests that the microcosm reflects the macrocosm. What happens on a small scale mirrors what happens on a large scale. In modern terms, you might think of fractals in mathematics, where the same patterns repeat at different scales. Or in quantum physics, where the behavior of tiny particles can reflect larger universal laws. On a personal level, this proverb speaks to the idea that your inner state influences your outer world. If you're in turmoil inside, it's likely that your external life will reflect that chaos. Conversely, inner peace can lead to a harmonious outer life. Is this truth or just mystical mumbo-jumbo? Given its reflection in so many scientific and philosophical principles, it's safe to say this one holds more than a grain of truth. The universe, it seems, is both vast and intimately connected, and so are you. Energy flows where attention goes. This saying is popular in both self-help circles and spiritual practices, but is there any real substance to it? Absolutely. The idea here is that what you focus on, you bring into being. In practical terms, this could mean that someone who constantly focuses on their goals is more likely to achieve them. In psychology, this ties into the concept of selective attention, where focusing on certain stimuli enhances perception and action toward those stimuli. In neuroscience, it's connected to neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections based on what you repeatedly think about or practice. This is why athletes use visualization techniques to improve performance, or why mindfulness practices encourage you to focus on positive thoughts to create a more positive life experience. So, does this proverb hold up under scrutiny? It certainly does. Your attention is a powerful tool, and where you direct it, your energy will follow. The truth will set you free. This one is practically a cliche at this point, but is it really true? There's something about truth that has a liberating quality, even when it's hard to face. Consider someone who's been living a lie, whether it's a secret, a facade, or self-deception. The moment the truth comes out, there's often a sense of relief, even if the consequences are difficult. In psychology, this ties into the concept of cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort experienced when holding two contradictory beliefs. When you align your beliefs with the truth, that dissonance disappears, leading to a sense of freedom. On a spiritual level, many traditions teach that truth is a path to enlightenment and liberation. So, is this proverb just another platitude, or does it carry real weight? It's far from empty words. Truth has a way of cutting through the fog, clearing the path, and setting you free from the chains of deception, both self-imposed and otherwise. What goes around comes around. This is Karma 101, a belief that your actions, good or bad, will return to you. But is this just wishful thinking or cosmic justice? In many ways, it's a reflection of the principle of cause and effect. In social dynamics, if you treat others with kindness and respect, it's likely to come back to you in the form of goodwill and cooperation. Conversely, negative actions often lead to negative repercussions. Newton's third law of motion, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, echoes this sentiment in the physical world. But what about the times when it seems like bad people get away with their actions? The universe, after all, is vast and complex, and not every cause has an immediate or visible effect. Yet over time, patterns do emerge, and actions do tend to come full circle, often when least expected. So does this proverb hold any truth? While it might not always be as immediate or clear-cut as you'd like, the underlying principle remains solid. What you send out into the world often finds its way back to you. Man is the measure of all things. This proverb, attributed to the ancient Greek philosopher Protagoras, suggests that human beings, in all their complexity, are the standard by which everything is judged. But is this just a self-centered view of the universe, or does it hold a deeper truth? In the realm of science, this idea resonates with the anthropic principle, which posits that the universe must be compatible with the conscious beings that observe it. Your human experience, after all, is how the universe perceives itself. From the dimensions of a chair to the ethics of a law, everything is tailored to fit human needs and perspectives. But there's a flip side. As you measure the world also measures you. The systems you create, social, economic, environmental, ultimately shape your existence. So does this proverb reflect a truth about your place in the cosmos? It does, but with a twist. As you measure, so too are you measured. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. This one is a paradox that has baffled thinkers for centuries. How can gaining knowledge make you feel less certain about the world? It's a phenomenon that becomes clear as you delve deeper into any subject. The initial surface-level understanding gives way to layers of complexity, revealing how much more there is to learn. This ties directly into the Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias where people with low ability at a task overestimate their ability, while true experts understand the vastness of what they don't know. Socrates summed it up centuries ago with, "I know that I know nothing." In science, every answer seems to generate more questions, expanding the boundaries of ignorance, even as knowledge grows. So, is this proverb just another philosophical riddle, or does it hold a fundamental truth? It's profoundly true. The pursuit of knowledge is an endless journey, one that humbles you with every step. He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. This saying, often attributed to Lao Tzu, places self-awareness on a higher plane than the understanding of others. But is self-knowledge really that much more valuable? Understanding others is undoubtedly important, whether in leadership, relationships, or daily interactions. But the journey inward, the path to self-awareness, is what philosophers and psychologists alike consider the cornerstone of true wisdom. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the integration of different aspects of the self into a cohesive whole. Knowing yourself means understanding your motivations, fears, desires, and how they shape your behavior. It's about recognizing your own biases and blind spots, which then allows you to see others more clearly. Does this proverb reflect a deeper truth? Absolutely. While wisdom is found in understanding others, enlightenment is the reward for those brave enough to understand themselves. We are all stardust. This one is both poetic and literal, popularized by the astrophysicist Carl Sagan. But what does it mean, and is it truly more than just a metaphor? From a scientific perspective, it's a fact. The elements that make up your body, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, were forged in the nuclear furnaces of stars. When those stars exploded in supernova, they scattered these elements across the cosmos, eventually forming new stars, planets, and yes, you. This idea connects you to the vast universe in a tangible way. But it's more than just chemistry. It's a reminder of your place in the grand scheme of things, a cosmic connection that transcends the mundane. Spiritually, this saying speaks to the idea of oneness, that everything in the universe is interconnected. Is this truth or just a poetic fancy? It's as true as anything can be. You are not just in the universe is in you. Empty vessels make the most noise. This proverb has a certain bite to it, suggesting that those who have the least to offer often shout the loudest. But is this just a cynical view of human nature, or is there truth behind the saying? It's not hard to see this in action, whether in social media, where those with the least understanding often have the strongest opinions, or in meetings, where the most vocal participants aren't always the most knowledgeable. Psychologically, this ties into the confidence-competence disconnect, where people with less ability often overestimate their competence, while true experts tend to be more measured in their assertions. In communication theory, it's a reminder that volume doesn't equate to value. So does this proverb hold up? It does, and it serves as a caution. Don't be fooled by noise, seek substance. Still waters run deep. This one is a reminder that calm exteriors often conceal rich, complex inner lives. But is it true that those who appear quiet or unassuming have more going on beneath the surface? Think of the people you know who might not say much in social situations, but when they do speak, offer insights that change the course of conversation. Or consider artists and writers who channel deep emotions and thoughts into their work, even if they seem introverted or reserved in person. Psychologically, this ties into the concept of latent inhibition, where individuals process stimuli at a deeper level without outwardly reacting. Still waters can indeed be the most profound, housing currents of thought and feeling that are only revealed when the time is right. Is this just a romanticized view, or does it hold water? It's more than just a saying. Often, the deepest insights come from the quietest minds. Thoughts become things. This phrase is a cornerstone of many modern self-help philosophies. But is it truly possible to think something into existence? At its core, this saying emphasizes the power of the mind to shape reality. It's about the law of attraction, the idea that focusing on positive or negative thoughts brings positive or negative experiences into your life. But is there science behind this? Absolutely. Neuroplasticity shows that your brain changes in response to repeated thought patterns, reinforcing behaviors and perceptions that align with those thoughts. Visualization techniques used by athletes, performers, and entrepreneurs demonstrate that mentally rehearsing success can increase the likelihood of achieving it. So, does this proverb stand up to scrutiny? It does. Your thoughts are more than just fleeting images, they're the blueprints for your reality. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The Golden Rule is one of the most universal ethical principles found in nearly every culture and religion. But in a world where self-interest often prevails, does this advice really hold up? The principle is rooted in empathy, putting yourself in someone else's shoes and acting accordingly. Social psychology supports this, showing that acts of kindness and fairness often lead to reciprocal behavior, creating a positive feedback loop. This is also reflected in the theory of reciprocal altruism, where cooperative behavior benefits both the individual and the group. But is this just idealism, or does it have practical value? It's both. While the world isn't always fair, treating others well often leads to better relationships, trust, and cooperation. So yes, this proverb is more than just a moral guideline. It's a strategy for building a better world. Love conquers all. This phrase sounds almost too good to be true, a romantic notion that love can overcome any obstacle. But does love really have that much power? When you look at history, love has been the driving force behind some of the most significant social changes, from civil rights movements to the end of apartheid. On a personal level, love, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, often gives people the strength to endure hardships and make sacrifices. In psychology, love is seen as a critical factor in resilience, helping people recover from trauma and loss. Spiritually, many traditions view love as the highest virtue, capable of transforming not just individuals, but societies. So is this just wishful thinking, or does love truly have the power to conquer all? While it might not solve every problem, love is undoubtedly one of the most powerful forces in human experience, capable of overcoming even the most daunting challenges. Money can't buy happiness. This is a phrase you've heard countless times, But in a world driven by consumerism, does it really hold true? There's no denying that money can make life easier, providing security, comfort, and access to opportunities. But beyond a certain point, research shows that increases in wealth have little to no effect on long-term happiness. The Easterlin paradox illustrates that once basic needs are met, additional income doesn't significantly boost happiness. Instead, factors like relationships, meaningful work, and personal growth play a much bigger role. In psychology, this is echoed in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where self-actualization and belonging are placed above material wealth. So is this just a comforting phrase for those without money, or does it hold a deeper truth? It holds up. While money can buy comfort, true happiness is often found in what money can't buy: love, purpose, and connection. Fortune favors the bold. This proverb celebrates risk takers, those who dare to step into the unknown. But is boldness really the key to success, or just a recipe for disaster? History is filled with examples of those who took bold risks and reaped massive rewards. Think of explorers, entrepreneurs, and innovators who defied the odds. In economics, this ties into the risk-reward principle. Higher risks can lead to higher returns. Psychologically, boldness is often linked to high self-efficacy, the belief in one's ability to succeed. But boldness isn't just about taking any risk. It's about calculated risks, where the potential benefits outweigh the possible downsides. So does this proverb hold true? Yes, with a caveat. Fortune does favor the bold, but only when boldness is tempered with wisdom and foresight. The pen is mightier than the sword. This is one of those phrases that has been tested throughout history, where words have often shaped the course of events more powerfully than violence. But in today's world, does it still hold true? Consider the power of media, literature, and rhetoric. From the speeches of Martin Luther King Jr. to the writings of Mahatma Gandhi, words have mobilized nations, ended wars, and sparked revolutions. In political science, this is reflected in the concept of soft power, where influence is exerted through culture, diplomacy, and ideas, rather than military force. Communication theory also supports the idea that well-crafted messages can change minds and shape public opinion in ways that force never could. So is this just a poetic ideal, or is it grounded in reality? It's absolutely true. While swords may win battles, pens win hearts, minds, and ultimately wars. You attract more bees with honey than with vinegar. This proverb speaks to the power of kindness and positivity in getting what you want. But does it really work? In leadership, managers who lead with encouragement and positivity often find their teams more motivated and productive than those who lead with fear or criticism. In relationships, kindness and understanding usually foster deeper connections than harshness or confrontation. Psychologically, this ties into positive reinforcement, where rewarding desired behavior is more effective than punishing undesirable behavior. In persuasion, people are more likely to be influenced by those they like and trust. So does this proverb hold up? It does. Whether in the workplace, at home, or in society at large, honey, kindness, warmth, positivity tends to attract more cooperation and goodwill than vinegar ever could. A fool and his money are soon parted. This saying has been around for ages, warning against financial irresponsibility. But in a world filled with get-rich-quick schemes and consumerism, does it still ring true? Absolutely. Financial literacy is more important than ever in today's complex economy. Those who lack it are often the ones who fall prey to scams, make poor investments, or overspend. Behavioral economics highlights how impulsivity and a lack of delayed gratification often lead to financial ruin. In psychology, this is connected to the concept of self-control, where the ability to manage impulses is crucial to long-term financial success. So does this proverb hold up? Without a doubt. Wisdom and caution are essential in managing money. Without them, wealth can disappear as quickly as it came. As I sifted through these proverbs, dissecting each one and holding it up to the light of modern science, psychology, and philosophy, I found myself circling back to the question that started this journey. Are these just old sayings, or do they hold some deeper truth? What I discovered was that these proverbs, despite their simplicity, are anything but empty words. They have endured because they capture essential truths about the human experience, truths that are reflected in the laws of nature, the patterns of society, and the complexities of the mind. They are, in a sense, the distilled wisdom of your species, passed down through generations, not just because they sound good, but because they work. They have stood the test of time because, as it turns out, nothing false persists for long. The world changes, but the core truths about how to navigate it remain the same. And so these proverbs continue to resonate, not just as quaint sayings, but as guiding principles that can light the way through the complexities of life. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you found, as I have, that the wisdom of the past still has much to offer the present, and perhaps even the future.